Hello, you awesome friends. This is your pal Edward here speaking, and thank you again for coming to an international interview with Edward. And as you know, I speak to absolute winners from across the world in our international program, and I've got someone who is absolutely amazing, incredibly powerful. He's a great guy who I know personally in Sydney, and he is a principal solutions architect and a founder of his own company, Agile IS. He's an educator, he's a mentor, he's absolutely brilliant. A bit of trivia about him, actually. He's actually from Egypt originally, now a proud Australian like the rest of us, loves running, and on an interesting note, if he didn't finish his bachelor's in engineering, he would have been a professional runner. An amazing guy, Mohamed Radwan. How are you doing today?
Hi Ed, happy to be here with you. I'm a big fan and really thankful to have you here in the interview. I'm following your series of legendary interviews, and I often find it very helpful. Some of them was brilliant. Specifically, I still remember the one you had with David Siegel, the CEO of Meetup. So it's interesting to have me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And, I'm really impressed at what you do. I mean, you're very well known across Sydney. You're both a working professional and an IT tech entrepreneur on the side. Mohammed, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help companies and add value to people's lives?
Exactly. Thank you for that, Ed. So as you mentioned, I'm actually a principal solutions architect. So my role is to help companies craft their vision. So usually companies, they have something in their mind. They have either a requirement or a problem they want to solve, or sometimes they have their vision and goals. So my role is to work as a bridge, and I go meet these companies and I listen to their pain point, their requirements from business and technical perspective, and I try to make it something realistic. And I put like something like a blueprint, a strategy, a complete technical solution to transfer these ideas, pain point to something very useful to the company. I've been working on this for the last 20 years. And as I will give you an example, sometimes I go and meet companies and they have, as example, struggling in this current situation. So I help them to build a new solution instead of using the old way, go to the offices, work there every day. I can help them to build a cloud solution, host their workload on a public cloud, allow their employees to access the application and services from home or from during commuting or whatever. Something else I can help is with like network programmability, automation, and so on.
Wow, and it's incredible. And obviously, this is a very obvious question. I just love to hear your own take on it. I imagine Corona has absolutely accelerated your business. How has Corona impacted the people that you work with and what they expect from you?
Yeah, so I agree. This pandemic is really affecting all of us. I believe every business has been affected with the corona. And I believe one of the most strongest human race trait is adaptability. So whenever we have something strange or whenever we have new situation, pandemic or something risky or threat, we try to define a way and come up with a new solution. So as I mentioned earlier, we had this problem, so people start thinking about working from home, think about new way. We are meeting instead of meeting physically, we are meeting over like now over video conferencing. So companies start working in a new way to even the normal day-to-day work, like the processes, they try to make it automate some things, automate the way they work, shift their mentality about their deliverables, about how the employee should be deliver his work, how should he be evaluated, and so on. This all has been done through automated solution, through IT. IT now is a keystone for every industry, not only for telecommunication like the old days or like universities. Now every company has its own IT solution, and I believe us as a telecommunication engineers and IT industry and society, if you can imagine that if this pandemic happened maybe 30 years back without the internet, how would we be communicating or doing the work? But now, because of the current technologies we have, like we have even 4G, we have the way to connect, we have this bandwidth. We were testing the internet. We have at least 40 meg connection or 100 meg connection at home. We can have HD conferences and video conferences, and will not stop like this. I'm still working with other companies on the future, how to adapt 5G, how to work with Wi-Fi 6, which will give more bandwidth to the customer, how to adopt some new technologies like cloud, like virtual reality, like augmented reality. So I believe there will be a huge economical shift. So people will start working on new trends, and maybe different industry will be raised. How we train, how we educate people. The universities now are working more from home. People, they are doing some meetups group or Zoom group to work on a project. And I will finalize with this analogy. I believe that we know in nature that diamond only form under a huge pressure. So I believe also people, we are similar to diamond, the kind of people who can take this very pressure time, that there is the stress we currently have, and turn it into something good, like what you are doing now, Ed. You're actually very energetic, you're positive energy, you are becoming like an inspiration for many other people not to give up, to try to find always a different way to do things and shine. So my last state is that we need to be fit and try to keep fit physically, mentally, and psychologically.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm just reacting to your last point first. It's, being fit is very important. And the way, again, being an ex-military guy myself, ex-military policing guy, the way I like to frame it is if we're fit, if something goes wrong, we can protect ourselves and protect other people. So I think it's all very important that we be fit. And I tell you what, it hasn't been easy staying fit during Corona. I don't know about you, but I did not do the best job of handling my fitness in Corona. I've been going back to the gym big time, but I struggled fitness-wise during Corona. I imagine, how did you go with it? You said you love running.
Yeah, so maybe the first month I struggled as well because everybody was cautious. Even I didn't want to go out, and I tried to take care of social distance as much as I can. But after the first month, I tried to go and run by my own. The gym was closed, everything was closed. Even we have our small running group was even stopped. We stopped meeting every weekend, so I have to run only by my own. I used to take my wife and two daughters and go do some runnings and do some exercising. So yeah, this kept us physically fit and also socially, because we are meeting. And then I believe things are in Australia is improving. So we are allowed now to gather up to 20 people, and we can go to the restaurant. Gym are back. So I'm back to gym. Hopefully you did the same. You're back to gym now.
Me too. I was just saying before, on a funny note, my interviews at the start of Corona, I was really fat. Now I'm getting all slim and muscly again. So it's good to be back there. And I was going to say as well, you raised a few interesting things. Some of the things I love to react to is, the world has changed. It's become more remote. The biggest thing that's on my mind is 5G. This morning, I'm actually speaking to our phone company in Australia, Telstra. I'm actually looking at upgrading to 5G. Mohamed, how do you see 5G improving and changing the world we're going into? So we're hearing a lot about 5G. How do you see it changing what is going on?
Yeah. Let me make a comment first. So I will not try to be very technically. I want to make it simple.
Yeah, go simple. Please go simple. Please go simple. Please.
I will. Don't worry. Some people start blaming 5G and blaming what we call it the new radio, the base station for 5G. That this was the reason for the coronavirus. This is not true. This is completely rumor. Actually, we have this base station for years, for 20, 30 years now. So for us, what we used to say as engineer, till 4G, what we really care about was connectivity. We want to allow user, as example, for 2G, we allow them to use SMS, 3G internet from your mobile, 4G internet was a good connectivity. What we really care about for 5G, what we call it user experience and services. So we want to give you something more than connectivity. We don't really care about not only give you a higher bandwidth up to 100 meg from your mobile, which would be brilliant. So with this 100 meg, you can download a video from Netflix in a couple of seconds. You can start doing what we call it virtual reality and augmented reality, which can use it in gaming, but also in there are some projects in Europe that virtual reality and augmented reality can even help in industry. So as example, you have a problem in one of the equipment on the street, and you need to send a 3D or a field a technician to this equipment, and then he starts wearing his augmented reality. And when he opens the equipment, the augmented reality will show him where is the fault piece and what to do with it, how to remove it first, and step by step, it will be like a guide to the technician how to solve this problem. So without 5G, without this enhanced bandwidth, this wouldn't be achieved. Also, we're trying to make sure that we give the user the best experience. So we have our own terms like supporting edge computing, trying to be close to the end user as possible. There's a lot of use cases now tested with 5G, like drones to detect fire. Like you remember in Australia, in December and January, there was a huge forest fire, which affected around almost 1 billion of animals lost their lives. So with drones and 5G, we can detect this fire at the start and send an alarm to the firefighter so they can control it very fast and don't wait till it becomes uncontrollable.
Wow, that's incredible. It's funny. I want to go back to one of your reactions before, because I heard the same thing as well. There are people running around saying that 5G is causing the coronavirus, and the government's trying to cover it up. And I remember actually, I don't know if you probably remember this because you know more about this than I do. Remember when 3G came out? People were saying it's causing cancer. Do you remember that? Everyone was saying 3G was causing... You remember that, right? Do you remember that?
I don't want to remember this date because I believe some of my friends, even during the 2G, were installing what we call it the base station, which is a tower where they put this antenna on top of it. And even in some of the Arab world, people start biting them. They're not allowing them to install the tower, and sometimes they push them, they throw them away. So it was a difficult time for engineers working on that.
So you're saying in the Arab world, people would actually push over the towers and destroy them?
Yeah. It happened quite for just few places, and then people put it under control. But people were really afraid about their health. So this will cause cancer, this will cause radiation. So, which is not true.
Yeah, I think it's insane because we're actually speaking to one of our friends on that note, and I won't mention who it is. It was actually a few people. They were trying to convince me that 5G is causing the coronavirus.
Yeah.
But then there were places in the world where there's coronavirus and no 5G.
Exactly.
But I couldn't get through to them. They're just in their own little heads. I think people just bite on a theory and they just cling to it and they just won't change their views. And I'm sure when 6G comes out, we're going to hear the same sort of weird stuff.
Sure. Usually, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. I love where things are going with 5G. And I was going to ask you, because that's incredible. I'm really looking forward to when it's coming out. What other key trends do you see going into the future after the corona season, Mohamed?
As I mentioned, cloud has been there for 10 years, but I believe it will be booming more and more. So I believe most of the companies, instead of investing on their own data center, and the employees must be there physically in their headquarters to access their application, which is maybe hosted on the basement or the ground floor, to give them as we mentioned, the simplicity, to give them the scalability, to allow them to reach it from whatever they want, and to allow company and operational excellence, they will go to cloud. Another technology which is booming as well, what we call it as an Internet of Things. I'm not sure if you heard of it.
Say that again? What is that again, sorry?
Internet of Things.
I've heard about Internet of Things. What is that? I've heard a few people saying that lately. Internet of Things.
Maybe up till the last 10 years, most of connectivity was for PCs and humans. So I am, as a human, connected to the internet. I'm browsing the website. I'm trying to get access to a server or see a movie. But for the last few decades, or maybe last 10 years, we start connecting things. So even my palm here, my light, it may be connected to the internet. I will have my house, my fridge, maybe connected to the internet. So when the milk is short, the fridge itself will order a new maybe 2 bottle of milk from Woolies or Coles, and then it will get delivered. The cars will be connected to the internet, and the car is not as a one unit. So for the car, maybe you'll have around thousands of sensors. Each one of them is monitor a specific part of the car, like the engine, the brakes, the glass, and all this information will be transferred over 5G and internet to maybe the factory, to the insurance company, to make some predictable decision about maybe your insurance. You're driving uncarefully, so maybe you will increase or reduce your insurance. Maybe I will get some warning to the other cars behind you. What we are expecting in the future, like automatic driver or anonymous car driver. To be supported, you need these two technology. You need IoT and 5G, plus the application and platform which will control how these cars will communicate with each other and make the right decision based on that. So in IoT, Internet of Things is big, and we are expecting around 20 billion things to be connected to the internet on the next few years, 3 to 4
Wow.
years.
So for example, in my home, that might be I've got 3 computers. That's
Yes,
3 things. I've got 2 phones, right?
yes,
I might have my watch. I might have a few devices that are all internet enabled.
exactly. Your
So,
computer maybe somehow is connected to you, so we can count your watch, we can count your lights, we can count your fridge, your car, your whatever, your fan, everything will be connected.
wow, I think that's absolutely incredible. I think it's just insane where the world's going. And I love what you said before as well, Mohammed, how we were already heading into a cloud sort of remote working world, but Corona just accelerated that whole cloud working from home experience.
Exactly, exactly. It's make it mandatory. So, as example, if you are a company and you were considering to migrate to cloud, but you said, "Let me, my staff is not really aware of the cloud. They're not experienced of handling my workload over the cloud. What about the security over the cloud? How to migrate my data to the cloud?" So, all this, what we call it resistance or limitation, push you to delay your decision. I don't want to migrate to the cloud now. I will make it maybe 2022 or after 2 years. With the pandemic, I believe many companies, they are considering, no, we have to go to the cloud today, if not yesterday. And if they need some of them, they may need an experience, and they may need like a solution architect to help them to plan the journey from their on-prem to the cloud. That's how they can get to some of the companies like my own companies, which is Agile IS.
Wow, that's all said. I'm going to say, Mohammed, it's amazing what you're doing. And as we bring this incredible interview to its epic conclusion, what are some of your big thoughts and advice you'd love to give to all our beautiful viewers from across the world?
Yeah, I would give maybe now I remember one of the my role model. He used to be the Cisco CEO for almost 20 years, John Chamber. He wrote a book called Connecting the Dots. So this can be for human and companies as well. He mentioned a couple of things that as a company, many of companies they died or because they were doing the wrong things. But many other companies also obsolete and they are not here in the market anymore because they were doing the right thing for too long. You cannot do the right thing for too long. You need to adapt. You need to think about the future. And he mentioned something very brilliant. He mentioned you have to disrupt before get disrupted. So if you're still
Wow.
using your data center, if you're still using the old way to connect to the internet, maybe after 5 or years you'll get out of the competition. But if you start thinking about the cloud, start thinking about IoT, develop a new application, which help people as example for this difficult time, then you can strive and get more opportunities. So I believe you need to work on your strengths, get out of your comfort zone, learn something new. So for me, I've been always been a network engineer, telecommunication, work with the big devices. But now software is and programming is critical skill, which I believe everybody should learn programming, not only engineers. So I've been working for the last few months, just refreshing my programming skill, working on that. So this is another tip. And maybe finally, soft skills are really critical, especially for when you're customer facing or you're dealing with people. So maybe start working on your negotiation skills, presentation skills, marketing, and so on.
Mohamed, it's just so well said, and thank you. I got to say, I love how clear and concise that you are. And just a quick question as well. I'm sure a lot of people watching this would love to get in contact with you. Mohamed, how can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm available on LinkedIn, Mohamed Radwan, so they can easily find me. They can follow my website, the company website, and they have a lot of emails and phone numbers. So it's agileis.com.au. So these are the best two methods to find me, LinkedIn and through the website.
Oh, Mohamed, it's a pleasure. I just got to say, absolutely thank you for this interview. And friends, get in contact with Mohamed. Mohamed, I'm looking forward to catching up for a bit of Mexican in North Sydney one of these days as things improve and open up.
Great, it's my pleasure. Looking forward to it. Just inviting me.
It's a pleasure. Now, thank you, Mohamed. I want to give you the final word. I just want to say I really appreciate you. And Mohamed, final word to you. What do you want to leave with our wonderful audience across the world?
As I mentioned, stay safe, be fit mentally, be fit from family perspective, physically, psychologically, learn something new, disturb before you get disrupted. And thanks everyone. Disrupt before you get disrupted.